one had a finger on it. Now they're up for bid. They're up for grab. We read in the Miami Herald of a Russian mob group in southern Florida who was brokering Soviet submarines, Soviet helicopters to run drugs worldwide. You know.
Ted, you got another caller, Ken from New Mexico.
Ken from New Mexico. Let me address this issue some more, Chip. Ken will be right with you. In addition, we have the Russia mafia is active in this country. They're very active in the L.A. area. And here not too long ago, there was an article in the New York Magazine, and not the New Yorker, but the New York Magazine. And this article documented that $1 billion a day in $100 bills being shipped to the Russian mafia, Soviet Union, via Flight 30 with Delta Airlines. This article actually exists. Now, and this was being furnished to them by the Federal Reserve System. So somebody's pumping a lot of money into Russia, illegally, certainly, and the communism is not dead. Do you have any comments on that, Chip?
Like I say, it's not dead, it's just loose.
It's loose, and it's probably more dangerous now than it ever has been. Okay, Ken from New Mexico. Ken, are you there?
Yes, I am. Good morning.
Good morning. What part of New Mexico?
Southwest, I'll say that.
Southwest. Okay, down near El Paso then, huh? No, the other side.
On the other side, close to Lordsburg and Deming.
Lordsburg and Deming, right. Okay, beautiful state. I was assigned there in the FBI for some 5 years. I traveled all over the state, got down to Alamogordo, got down to your part of the country, Route 66, Albuquerque, Santa Fe, and so forth. What do you have to say today, Ken?
Well, I just had a question for Chip. If you know about this Olympic plan and the Olympians and the Committee of 300, then why are you protecting them? Are you feared for your life, or is it goes much deeper than we even know?
I was an assassin for them.
And
I know what they can do, and I know how they will do it, and there's no way in hell I'll let it happen to my children.
I understand that. Well, what do you suggest that we can do? Just take back our country first?
We need to concentrate on home turf. That's where we need to concentrate. We need to get the corruption out of our federal government and get the control back into the hands of the honest people in the United States. That's what we need to do.
Are there any left?
Millions. Everywhere. They're just pretty complacent right now, most of them.
They're ignorant.
Well, yeah, that goes along with the plan, the future shock kind of thing. Is it like, are there any honest people left in the higher offices and in our military?
Sure, I believe so. However, as we're rearing new officers in the military, they're being trained and brought up in a different atmosphere and taught different standards. And so in bringing them up in that, they will be brought up under the auspices of what we're looking for in a one world government.
Okay. Well, I'll get off the air now.
Ken, let me point out something else to you. In the Gulf War, there were like close to 700,000 American troops over there. Most of those troops, I think it's something like 4/5 of those troops, are no longer in the service because they suffered this Gulf War syndrome, this illness, and they can't even do push-ups now, so they've washed these men out. They've brought in new recruits. They've also cleansed at the officer level, and they've brought troops up there. And if you want to see our U.S. Army in action, get this video film, Panama Deception, for $35 through my office, and you will be shocked. Not to mention also that after World War II, our CIA, our government, brought all these Nazi Zionists and other individuals in who were high up in the hierarchy of the Germany and the Nazi government, brought them into this country, and I'm convinced, and including the Zionists, and they worked on the rockets and so forth. I'm convinced that we're leaning in that direction. Our troops in the Panama during that invasion were nothing, in my opinion. I immediately thought about the Nazis and how they just lined people up and shot them. American boys shooting innocent civilians. I couldn't believe it.
I know we're in for a rude awakening. Well, let me get off the air and let someone else call in. But thanks for
thanks, Ken. Thanks for calling in.
Keep up the good work, and we'll try and we're going to get your material. We're going to disseminate as much as we can.
Yeah, Ken, write this number down: 702-876-5208, and ask for my flyer, which lists all my research. I have about 95 boxes of research, and I've compiled this into various books and reports. And get a hold of that, and look it over, order it, and make copies. I don't care about it. I didn't copyright anything. take that and make copies and get it to your friends. I think one of the keys here is to wake up America.
It's hard to do that. People don't want to do it.
Listen, as I said on the show many times, several times, my Christmas card list has just been reduced, from about 6 to 8 inches of Christmas cards down to about a half an inch because people don't want to hear what I have to say. But I don't care. I'm going to keep going forward. Ted Gunderson report. Right back, folks. Chip, we're halfway through on these lecture series, if we want to call it that. And while we're talking about lecture series, are you going to be giving some lectures?
Speaking to me?
Yes.
I think that in time here, I'm under a 60-day restriction with the federal courts right now, but in time I would like to look forward and prepare for something like that. I think that I have some information that America needs to hear.
What's the status of your case right now? Now, you served how much time?
I've served 2 years. The appeals court in Atlanta has stated that there is a substantial question concerning the court case since our court-appointed attorneys didn't put on a defense, didn't call one witness for the defense. They just rested after the prosecution was done.
Well, your court-appointed attorneys, were they CIA operatives?
No, but they were approached by the agency and told, if you go forward with any type of defense, you'll never represent another person.
Do you know this for a fact?
Yeah, they said it. I was in prison, or I was in jail at the time, but it was stated in front of a newspaper man who wrote the article about the treason charge and in front of my family members.
Did you hire these attorneys, or were they court-appointed, you say?
No, the federal government seized all of our assets so that we didn't have the ability to hire. We didn't have our monies available to hire an attorney, so we had to depend on counsel that was provided by the courts.
Well, it sounds to me like they blew it by not, presenting a couple of witnesses. They'll never call on those attorneys again to represent somebody.
They needed to call at least one witness. That's true.
They'll never. I imagine that as a result of your case, I imagine orders went out all over the world that if you ever, to the attorneys, if you ever called and asked to defend one of our, quote, people, end quote, you better call at least one witness so we don't have the case overturned.
That's right.
Has your case been overturned yet?
No, but the courts ordered me, the 11th Circuit ordered an immediate release. They have a substantial question about the constitutional issues of the case.
Well, let me tell you right now, Chip, you're doing the right thing by going public with all this information.
My wife and I, we're comfortable with doing this. We know that the United States government they're masters of control. For decades, they've been working toward getting the American people so complacent that they won't react, and that's where they're at. We're always going to keep food on the table and gas in the car for the American people because that's what they want. What we're working on now in the American government, and I say we because I am an American, however, they, being the people who are controlling things now, what they are doing is they are working on foreign powers now, aligning them for the world situation.
For the New World Order.
That's correct.
The New World Order, I saw it one night on a documentary, Adolf Hitler, New World Order. I flipped the channel, and believe it or not, at that precise moment, when I flipped the channel, here's George Bush talking about the New World Order.
Yeah.
Hey, it's right around the corner, and it's been very well designed. Of course, it's been in the planning stages for 220-some years, since May 1, 1776. This is the celebration for the Illuminati, folks. If you don't know what the Illuminati is, you better go down to the library and find out what it's all about. By the way, Chip, the word Illuminati is taken out of the dictionary that I have here at home. It's no longer in the dictionary. Isn't that interesting?
That is very interesting. Especially concerning the fact that little baby George Bush was brought up by Senator Preston Bush, preparing him for, he hoped, a political career, and George had never been elected to an office in the world before Ronnie took him on under his wing.
Well, that's right. That's another story. We'll have to talk about this some other time. By the way, folks, I have a 4-hour lecture that's available to you on the Illuminati and how it affects our world today. $35 to my address. We'll get it to you. God bless you, Gene, Chip, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Good enough, Ted. Bye-bye.
Contact us.